Welcome back, everybody. Um, it's another week on Porch Talk. We're starting a new section this week, new type of show. We're bringing in one of our buddies, so we're naming this one the Boys Join the Porch. I want to introduce to you one of my close friends from way back, Rusty Yates. He's gonna come in here and share some of his football and UFC knowledge, pick his brain a little bit, and this is their first time having a guest, so just bear with us. Uh, Rust out. You want to say anything before we get started, or you just want to roll into it?
It's just to roll into it, man.
I
All
want to
right.
let everybody know how old I am.
Yeah.
And I didn't think about this before, but now for some reason, hearing you talk on that intro, I coached these two knuckleheads in JV football. That's how old I am.
I remember that.
Yeah, I do too.
Trick
It
plays and
feels like it
everything.
was. It feels like
Yeah.
a lot longer than ago than it was.
I don't
Because
know.
really, I mean, it was a good while back, but it feels like it was 30 years ago. And that's what
Well,
it feels like.
it's over 10 years.
Well, you got
There's a big
2010.
difference in 10 and
2010
30, though.
was
But
Yeah.
it
20.
feels like 30.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not saying it was a short time ago, but it feels like much longer than it was.
Yeah. Well, uh, we're going to try to jump into some high school football. Um, we went to the game last night with Honecker and Lebanon, and that was their game of the week. And we'll get into that here in a minute. Before we get started, we want to just throw this out there. Twin Valley tonight had their first win since November last year after a canceled season. So that school's near and dear to all their hearts because that's where we went. And we know Tommy, uh, Coach Krieger, and everybody in that program. And so I just want to say, and for all of us, congratulations. And you've done the community proud. And I know that has to be an emotional win, just getting the monkey off your back. I'm just proud of them for going out there and competing because I watched the game and there was a few guys that get hurt or kids that get hurt and they got up and kept going. Uh, so just congratulations from us. I'll let y'all if y'all want to say anything about it before we get rolling.
Go ahead, Mar.
Yeah, I went to the game and they, they don't. It was about what I expected. They look young. I don't know. I think they only have like one or two seniors, and you can tell by looking at them that they're a young team. They don't have any. I don't want to put anybody down like sound bad, but they don't have any like really really stand out. You know what I mean? Like guys like that's gonna like take over games or something. But they got enough there to build on for throughout this season that hopefully the next year or two before consolidation that they'll keep this going. But they play hard. They never, like Cam said, they get banged up. They hop back in. They only have 15 dressed out, and I think I remember one maybe subbing in regularly. So I mean, you
It's
can't
impressive
afford
though.
an injury. But the thing I took away from it was they play very hard, and a lot of, they didn't quit. Uh, Phelps come back, tied it up. They wouldn't, you know, kept plugging away. They didn't hang their heads, or that could have got away from them, especially with not having a season last year and things like that. And um, I'm sure there was
Yeah.
some nerves and pressure on them. I don't know if some of them. I don't know. Some of them have even played a varsity game yet. I'm not sure what.
Yeah.
I don't know the personnel this year. I've been away from it for so long, but um, I did it when I used to help Tommy coach. Obviously, so like I've been a part of being in that program and on the sidelines, and I played there obviously, and I've been through some of those years where it's hard to. You don't know if you're going to have enough for a team. Uh, going into a season that you could struggle, and how important a win here and there will be. Um, I think a lot of these schools get spoiled, and uh, they have so much success that they don't. I don't think a lot of schools can really appreciate how important a win like this would be
Yeah.
for those kids in this program. Just because, I mean, yeah, we've never won much at Twin Valley, but we, to, in my mind, you have to love football to play it and not be successful at it as a record on wins and losses. So in a way, I'm not saying we like you love it more than the guys who are good, but to still do it week in and week out and still show up and with low numbers and knowing you're going to struggle, you have
Yeah.
to absolutely love it. So it's great to see them back out there. I messaged Tommy after I got home, congratulating him, and told him when I pulled out and went by the field looking over, and I got a little choked up just thinking back about all the times I had, coaching with him, and the wins that come. Sometimes they were few, they were really far between game. You spread them out, but each one was meaningful, and I'm glad they're back on the field. That was the most important thing to me, was just getting the team on the field, and to get a win was was very big, I think, for them.
Right. Those wins mean a lot. People don't understand that. When me and Cam were in high school, even when you was in high school, more, you know, Twin Valley has never really been respected for their football program. And when you're out there and people are already expecting you to lose, and you're going out there and you're giving everything you got, those wins, they mean a lot. They mean a lot. And so I'm congratulations to those guys that I think there was an article WCYB posted today or this week sometime, and I think they said it was 17 kids that were suiting up this year,
They had
and
15 on the field tonight,
15 on the field.
dressed out. So I don't know
Yeah,
if they lost some or what happened, but
yeah.
Feel impressive. You know, they won 28-16. JJ Justice, he scored 2 touchdowns tonight, so shout him out.
hmm
Um, well, Mar, if you want to run down the rest of the scores, and we'll talk about our game of the week.
yeah, Rycove beat Hancock County 48-0, and I started with them on top of the list because I figured we'd talk about Twin Valley. Rycove, not last year, but the year before, they had to fold their program
Yeah, I think
throughout
so.
the halfway through the season. They were in the same boat Twin Valley was, and they come back last year. I think started the season 6-0 or 7-0, maybe 6-0, I think, and made
Impressive.
the playoffs. So, I mean, that's they were probably in the same boat, wondering is this going to happen, and they turned it around quick, and that they're I think they're going to be very competitive in the Cumberland, maybe even win it. I've heard a couple of people predicting them to win the Cumberland this year. So that's an example right there that if you get, as long as you can keep a JV, if you don't have the varsity, and keep people interested and keep them working, you can turn it around. So,
Well,
uh,
like you said, that when you don't have it, or you go through struggles like that, I mean, you appreciate it more. And I think
mhm.
that adds a little bit into the weight room work, the
Yeah,
practice
when you're
work,
a small school like that, and you don't have guaranteed numbers, we're going to be coming in every year. I mean, you could have a class come up that's going to be. Well, Twin Valley's had those classes that come up where you got a group of 8 to 10 together that come through and have some success and win a few games, and and you. But then you're going to have classes that behind them that you're not going to have but 2 or 3 players in a class that are coming along, and you don't know when that's going to hit and miss. So, um, it's not. I mean, it doesn't happen very often that teams have to fold the program, but honestly, it surprises me that it doesn't happen more. Just because there's the numbers around some of these schools here, you just don't have it. But I'll go on to the next game. John Battle in the upset of the night beat Abington 26-21. Graham beat Bluefield 14-9.
That Graham game. That makes 31 straight regular season wins for Graham right now. Yeah.
Yeah, this was a lot. this is much more of a low scoring game than I would have guessed.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'd like to have been to that one.
Me
yeah,
too.
that was I almost went. I'm glad I went to Twin Valleys game, but that was one I had picked out was to try to go to. But yeah, that kind of surprised. I know one of the safety that Bluefield got was a bad snap on a punt, and that's where that came from. So it was I think it was very low scoring
Yeah.
all throughout. That touchdown from Graham didn't come until very late in the game. So big win for them. Patrick Henry, this is another. I don't know if this is an upset, but I don't think. I mean, I'm not real sure. I think the Bristol paper maybe picked Virginia High, but it's a two different divisions, the 2A and a single A. But Patrick Henry beat Virginia High 25-15.
And that's the first time Virginia High has lost a season opener at home since 2006.
Wow.
And that's a pretty impressive win for Patrick Henry, knowing that they got some stiff competition within their district this year. After the showing that Homeacre had, that's going to be a huge game between them two.
Yeah.
I seen in the paper they have a guy who has an offer from Tech, a lineman. He's just a junior.
That's impressive, though.
So I don't know if they've got seen him early and offered him, or because that's the only offer that
Yeah.
they had listed was Tech. So you would think, if he was that good, he'd have more
Oh,
offers.
for
But I
sure.
mean, you got to be at a pretty high level, regardless if it's your only offer or not. So the running game there is a big thing. Castlewood lost to North Green 36-0. Central beat Eastside 14-7. Gate City beat Richlands 34-7.
That's the largest road win that Gate City has had at Richlands in that series since 1995, which I thought was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And their defense, I watched a little bit of that game. Their defense is very impressive. I think they're lucky that they even got to 7. What that was, it was Gate City was back in their own end zone. Quarterback went to throw it, kind of got hit as he threw it and just went up in the air. The Richlands defender happened to intercept it in the end zone for a defensive touchdown. So I think at one point towards the end of the game, Richlands hadn't even had 100 yards of offense. So Gate
Yeah,
City was very impressive.
it could be a long season for Richlands in that Mountain 7 district. Not Mountain 7. Where are they in? Southwest District?
They used to be in. I'll be honest, their quarterback impressed me. So I'm not sure how much of it is them dropping off as it is Gate City just being that good.
Yeah.
I don't know that that was a good measuring stick for Richlands. I mean, granted, what we're used to with Richlands over the last 10 years, you would expect them to play better. But this is a different time. It's not Mance anymore. I mean, we're a few years past that now. So they got some work to do. I mean, I think they'll still be decent from what I saw, but Gate City, they're going to be good.
Carroll County beat Grundy 22-16. Grundy was ahead at the half 16-14. And when I got home, maybe on the radio, I thought Grundy was still winning. And then come inside and update it, and Carroll County had went ahead. Is Carroll County 2A or 3A? Surely they're not 3A, are they?
I think they're 2A.
I think they're 2A.
I may be wrong, though.
I mean, I would imagine it has to be. I don't know why, if you're 3A, why you're coming to play a 1A school, but
yeah, I think it's 2A.
I mean, it almost has. Yeah, you would think so. That's another. Speaking of road trips, that's a long one.
Yeah, which they played at
My
home.
buddies from
though.
Grundy have told me about when they used to be in the Southwest District back in the day.
Yeah.
Having to go up there, that's an all day event.
And I remember, I think when I think it's Carroll County when Richlands used to play them. I I think I'm remembering right that their visiting locker room is. It seems like it's a mile walk to get to
I
it.
think I
I
think
think
you're
it's
right.
Keller
I've
County.
heard something like that too.
People have complained about that to the point where they just a lot of times the visitors don't even go to the locker room. They just kind of hang
Yeah.
out on the outside of the field. Now that might have changed. That was over 10 years ago that I remember hearing that.
I mean, it's all good until you go up to 10 degrees outside.
Yeah,
You're sitting over
yeah, very
freezing.
true. Yep.
Ridgeview beat Burton 44-0. Um, is that one of them that got called at the half,
I'm not sure.
or maybe
Not.
a little early, or is it just bad weather?
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that uh, they had that 44 close to halftime, but
Okay.
I don't remember if they
With
called it or not.
Burton, I've seen in the paper Burton's completely rebuilding. Any experience they had coming back, I think, got hurt in the preseason. So they're the quarterback. This is his first time taking snaps at that position, other than scrimmages, I guess. So they're in a definite rebuild, not the Burton of
Y'all,
old that we were used to
Mm-mm.
growing up.
I was gonna ask if either one of y'all knew if that says more about Ridgeview or just says more about Burton being
I
in a
think
rebuilding
at this
stage.
point that's more about Burton because Ridgeview, I think, graduated a lot from their team last year. Um, I think they're still going to be good though, but I don't know if they're 44 points better than on average. Even an average Burton team. But
That game, it did go to the end. It was 44 to
okay,
nothing. They had the reserves in through pretty much most of the second half with the running clock, and Ridgeview actually has Grundy next week. Mm.
Union beats Lehigh 34-0. That one did get called at the
Yeah.
half due to weather. And Hurley loses to Sherman, West Virginia, 20-12 in another long road trip. That's a long way up in West Virginia. Apparently, Sherman is. So that's all the games, and then we got our game of the week, or what turned out to be a lack of game of the week, with Honaker 52, Lebanon 7. We can jump into that, but that was we didn't do a good job picking a game of the week apparently.
Well, I mean, we did pick the one that was the most packed.
Yeah.
So,
So you were there last night. Do you want to confirm my thoughts or on the parking at Lebanon?
I
Was
can't
our
really say that I can't say that I confirm it because I parked a mile away and I walked. Uh, but I will say that they may or may not have one of the best or worst parking situations, but they for sure have one of the worst ticket line situations.
mm-hmm.
Because we got there, I think we were 15 minutes late, and we still waited for almost 20, 30 minutes in the line to get tickets. That's the
Yeah.
I've been to state games, I've been to state semis. I've never seen a line like that.
I haven't either. That was ridiculous. When we got there, it was maybe what 3 or 4 minutes left in the first quarter,
Yeah,
and
maybe
and
in second quarter.
yeah, I know for a fact we didn't get into the game with like it was like already 7 minutes left in the second quarter, and Honaker had done put up 3 touchdowns on Lebanon. So I mean, the ball game
Yeah.
was over by the time we got in there.
My dad was complaining the whole time we were in line about how they were only one side of the booth selling tickets and they didn't have two windows. They had two different spots, but each one of them I think was only one person inside working
It
it.
was.
And yeah, that's a lot of people waiting outside just
Yeah,
because you don't have a faster um, process of getting into a game. And um, yeah, but as far as I wish we'd have been a little bit later. I wouldn't have been paid to get in. If I'd have got there into the first quarter, we would have stood outside and looked through the fence after they got up 26-0 or something in the first quarter, I think.
it was close. I mean, I think it was about 22 to nothing. I think when we came in or close to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said we were pretty much donating money to Lebanon at that point. Um, but it was
So
still
both of
cool
you,
to get in,
both.
and
Sorry, go ahead.
I would say it was cool to get in and still experience the atmosphere because it's been a minute.
Yeah, both of you all were there. Get your takeaway. Do you think that Lebanon maybe was a little overrated coming in? Granted, their quarterback is still he's a good quarterback. Um, was it more Lebanon being a little overrated, or is it Honecker being just much better than what people actually anticipated?
I'll let you go ahead, Rusty, and I'll come in after you.
All right. I think Honecker's just coming in and they're just better than what people anticipated. Um, I mean, they came in and I think they just punched Lebanon in the mouth, and Lebanon just couldn't find an answer for them. And once Honecker was able to put up multiple touchdowns in the first quarter, I mean, what little bit I finally got to sit down and watch, Lebanon just wasn't like there was a couple third down conversions, and I think there was one or two punts, and like, all right, maybe Lebanon's starting to get something, maybe they're starting to a little bit of life is starting to come into them, but Honecker got the ball right back. Offensively, Lebanon couldn't do anything. Honecker got the ball back, and then it was right back to what was going on before. Honecker was just pushing the ball down the field. And, on the line of scrimmage, I noticed, Honecker was just bigger than those boys, and they were just pushing them around. And then, the air raid, like me and Cam talked about, he was talking about the air raid, and I really watched the air raid work for them. And, I mean, Honecker can be a real threat this year for the state title.
Yeah, so we got in there and we got to see a little bit from outside the fence, and we got in and was able to really watch it up close. Um, I'm not sure that I can say yet that. I guess it depends on how you looked at Lebanon beforehand. That one ranking had them in the top five as far as the local teams. Um, it's kind of like the Richlands Gate City game. I'm not sure that Richlands is terrible, but I'm not sure that going against Gate City, who's very impressive, is a good measuring stick. Where I'm not sure that Lebanon is terrible, but they're going against a team that not many teams around here have encountered an offense like that. And I think they were a little bit shell shocked because you're not used to seeing that. And the guys from Honecker, I'm sure just based on us hearing about the 7-on-7s, the practice, and just what I know about the air raid and how, I've studied it before, and a lot of the coaches I've studied said the practices are almost boring because you're just constant repetition after repetition after repetition. But with doing that, and you noticed it when you watch them play, when they threw the ball, the receiver, the quarterback, they were so in sync. They knew where they needed to be. They knew where the ball was going to be. If they came up and did a screen, it was perfect almost. I'm sure, watching it deeper, maybe there's some things that they want to work on, like all teams would. But I think Lebanon was just shell shocked. I don't think they were used to seeing that, and I think it's dangerous for everybody in this area that has never seen anything like that going up against Honecker. And I think it's fun to watch, and you can see based on some of Honecker's coaches on X right now, they are fully embracing the air raid. Coach Wiggs, he put on there tonight a picture of some fighter jets, flying around, and Coach Tiller commented on it. It had the pirate flag, which is reference to Coach Leach. Um, so they're fully embracing that, and I think that's awesome. We'll get to see what happens in the future, but I will point out that their quarterback, man, he's put in work in the off season. We said that on our first podcast, seeing some of the tape, just him out in the field practicing by himself. And Thursday night or last night, he was 14 of 20 for 211 yards and four touchdowns in 2 quarters. So I mean, he was not just a threat throwing the ball; he was a threat running too.
I took a few things away from it that going forward. First of all, Lebanon didn't do themselves any favors in the first few possessions, even if it was a very evenly matched game. They were going to be down from the start. They uh, fumbled on the second play. I think it was going to be a good game for them too. Like they picked up a big chunk and got stripped from behind, fumbled it, give it right back, give it to Honaker. Honaker scores first play of the game. Then Lebanon gets it back, interception. So you're going back to back possessions with a turnover against a team that's probably a little better than you. If we're just starting off from both teams being close together, you're not going to beat teams, even some teams that are worse than you are, by turning the ball over that much. And then I think the third possession they might have. I don't think it might not have been a turnover, but that was the first thing. Like Lebanon did themselves no favors whatsoever. So they were behind the 8 ball from the start. The second thing, the line. Everybody talks about Honekar's skill positions, which rightfully so, because, like you said, the quarterback is tall, athletic, dual threat. Then you have receivers everywhere with great hands who have obviously put in the work to work on these routes. They're not just, doing. They're not just. It ain't. It's not. I won't say complicated, but they're not just breaking off and running, sloppy routes. They're very crisp. They know what they're doing. You can tell they've worked on it. And the quarterback, when you have an accurate quarterback, he wouldn't even have to be that athletic. Just as long as you're that accurate, but it helps that they can roll the pocket. He's a threat to run at any time. But their skilled players are very, very good. Their line, offensive and defensive, dominated Lebanon from the first snap to the time I left. Honaker did whatever they wanted. They could line up in Wildcat, and a high percentage of. They're probably going to run it, and there was nobody touching Honaker's running back for 4 or 5 yards. Knowing good and well they were probably going to run it. So they were able to do whatever they wanted because those guys up front. And when Lebanon did get the ball, he didn't have any time to do anything. Honaker's defensive line and their linebackers, constant pressure. I don't know that Lebanon's offense got the ball across the 50 the whole first half. It was just completely dominated every aspect. So I think a lot of it was how good Honaker actually is, but I think it might get overlooked by people because of the stats and how fun they are to watch. But their line is going to be very, very important for them moving forward, and them and Patrick Henry will be that should be a very good matchup coming up.
Yeah, we definitely need to check that one out.
That's going to be a good game, I think. And they could not look as impressive moving forward against teams that they are expected to beat. So we'll find out more as we go along. But the eye test, they are for real, and not only for real, but they'll be fun to watch. They're not just going to line up and run it down your throat the whole game. It's a very entertaining offense to watch. So
you was mentioning
the one negative I will say about they had 11 penalties for 110 yards. So if they do get in a close game against a good team, even if it's not regular season and if it's playoffs, could be first game, rust, jitters, whatever, but they're going to cut down on the penalties for sure against good teams.
That'll give them something to work on going forward. You was talking about how the running back didn't seem like he got touched at all. I just wanted to throw it out there that Aiden Lowe, I guess he was the ball carrier. He had 130 yards rushing on 6 carries in the first half.
Yeah,
so just to kind of
I think he ran a punt back. Was he the one? Was he one returning punts?
I'm not sure.
They ran a punt
Possibly,
back. I want to think it was him.
Yeah, and that wouldn't even go towards his rushing stats.
That wouldn't even be part of that.
No.
One thing I did find interesting, the Bristol paper had Honecker's key returners. They had a kicker as one of their key returners, and they didn't kick an extra point. They didn't kick it deep on the kickoff. So I don't know if there's an injury there that's going on or what the deal was that. But that could be I mean,
That,
playoff, you get in close game, not
yeah,
have a kicking game, that could come back,
and that could
that's
be why
way
they
down the
went
road
for
conversation. But
that could be why they went for two every time. I thought it was just an aggressive strategy.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And then I seen on the way home, I was looking at what Bristol had said about him leading up, and I'm pretty sure one of their key returners they had as a kicker, but I'll have to double check that and make sure that's what I read it right. But
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's what it said.
Well, I mean, I thought it was a fun game, even though it was a blowout. Just watching the new offense. And then tonight, we've had a lot of excitement going on in week one. And next week, I thought Taz will play Riverhead tonight, but Taz will
Because
actually
they
had a
were,
bye week first week.
Riverhead's
Yeah,
played.
yeah.
Is that a team out of somewhere in North Carolina? It's like
I didn't even. I mean, I saw it, but I don't remember. But
I
I
think
know
it was
that.
a very, very, very good team out of North Carolina that was maybe highly ranked,
Yeah.
and it was 8-6. I think was a very low
I mean,
scoring game.
that program up there, Staunton or however you say it, it's very
And
impressive.
Staunton.
Yeah,
It's out of Stanton or Staunton, Virginia is where Riverhead's at.
yeah. No,
They moved up right to 2A.
yeah, they did.
So
From
I mean,
everything that I've heard.
yeah. So if Honecker, I mean, you're already not having that to contend with.
Well, I can tell
So
you this: I don't know if Gate City. I'm assuming they're still single A.
Gate
Uh,
City,
yeah,
another 2A.
are they 2A? Man, it's been a while. Because used to, they were single A. It's been a while since I've kept up with them. I was
They're
gonna.
in the Mountain Seven with
Okay. I was gonna say their
Ridgeview and all
defense
them.
versus Honecker's offense would be a dream matchup to watch.
Yeah, they're 2A. I was looking at Honecker's schedule. Other than, I mean, I don't know much about all those teams. Other than in district games, and probably really you can almost narrow it down to just Patrick Henry from what I've seen so far. They should. I mean, obviously you have to go out and play the games for a reason, but on paper it looks like they have a very good chance to go 10-0 if they can get by a couple hurdles.
Set them up pretty well when it comes to playoff time.
Yeah, and you never know. I think Patrick Henry has the grass field, like instead of the turf. Um, Depending on when that game's played, the weather, anything like that could come into play. Because if Patrick Henry has a good line, muddy game that sets them up. So
Um, yeah, what is it going to be at Patrick Henry or at Honecker?
It is. It's at Patrick Henry, so I mean
No.
that could take some advantage there for the
when is it?
It is October 20th.
Yeah, I mean you don't know it could be snowing, it could be raining, it could be 80 degrees. You don't know what's going to happen in October in Virginia.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, guys, I think we've kind of covered most of the high school for sure. Uh, week one, we're here. Uh, it. We didn't get to see a great game Thursday, but just having it back, it feels good.
Yeah, having football back is
Mm.
this is the best time of the year. I mean, people
Yeah.
just don't understand. This is the best time of the year. Like, yeah, I mean, I love summer, but when August comes around and that first kickoff, it's just a different feeling.
Weekends are filled up with football on Friday nights, football on Saturday morning to night, football on Sunday morning to night. That's my schedule. So,
Y'all
you know,
carry us through. I'm old and I have to pee. I'll be right back.
okay, you go right ahead. Well, we'll wait on him before we get into the week zero games. Um, you know, I guess we can kind of. I want to kind of bring up the Richlands game again because I know the start of our friendship. We went to a lot of Richlands games back in the day, and that's some of my fondest memories. I think their atmosphere at their stadium is top notch, and I'm sure it still is. But I wonder what they're going to have to do to get back to where they were. And I don't know if it's a style change. I mean, I'm not as familiar with the program, with the players enough to know if it's a style change, if it's just a culture change, or if it's just the fact that our area, every school is being affected by kids and parents, leaving. People just they're not staying in Southwest Virginia as much anymore, and so I think some of it might be that. But man, we're gonna see. I think going forward what they're about. That quarterback really impressed me that they had. He's quick, but tonight didn't look good.
Right. It's been so many years. I mean, years away from me keeping up with Richlands football as much as like when we grew up and we were going to Richlands games. I there was probably 5 or 6 years that I can maybe count on one hand how many games I actually missed. Me and my brother, we would go every weekend to Richlands High School football. We would go to Union, we'd go all these other places, Gate City. Each week we would go watch Richlands play. And I mean, this was, years with the Johnson brothers from Big Creek. I started when Caleb and Justin McCracken and all those guys were in their senior year in '06 when they won the state championship up to like 2012, 2013, and that was that was right around when I stopped kind of following Richlands as much. Um, but once Mance left, I mean, I think they were they were consistently good. Like they were always in the conversation. And then when Mance left, it just kind of shook everything up. And I mean, I really don't know what the answer would be. Consistency, honestly, that's what they had for so long, and they had someone there that I mean I don't know what the coach who the coach is there now. I know they've had a couple of different coaches over the last couple of years, but consistency is really what kept them going for so long. So I think just finding somebody, or maybe the coach now is the answer. You're just going to go through a few rough years, and you're gonna get there. Richlands always has kids. They always have a lot of young talent. But maybe the next couple of years we'll see Richlands become prominent again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll watch them throughout the season. We'll keep everybody updated on it. I know this area, they either love them or hate them. But it's a popular school. Everybody knows what's going on there as far as wins and losses. Uh,
They're losing. They're losing the recruiting battle. Is what it is.
that's something,
Yeah.
man. It's
I'm
but
just kidding. For anybody from Richland
uh,
that's listening to this podcast, I'm just kidding.
um, so we'll since Jamar's back, we'll go ahead and we're gonna pop in here and look at the week zero slate. Uh, we're trying out something new here with trying to share the schedule up on the screen, so hopefully this turns out pretty good. Um, and y'all can tell me if it's showing up on y'all's or not. Um, week zero is kind of like, I mean, it's college football on a diet. I think I saw somebody say the other day. Um, it's one of those things that we watch it, because it's football, but the games are not going to be. You're not going to have your um, Alabama, LSU, your LSU Florida State type matchup you're going to have next week. Uh, but it's still football, so I mean it's something that to me, I'm going to watch it when I can. I know we're going to be busy tomorrow, uh, but I'm going to try to catch a little bit of the Notre Dame game. Um, so, is it showing up on your screen, the
Yeah,
schedule?
I've got it on mine here.
Showing up, I can't make it out what it says.
Okay, well, first game is going to be at 2:30 tomorrow. It's Navy versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame's ranked 13th. It's in Dublin, Ireland. So that's exciting. It's the second year that I remember them doing that. Last year it was Northwestern and Nebraska. You also have UTEP at Jacksonville State, UMass at New Mexico State. You have Ohio at San Diego State, Hawaii at Vanderbilt, and I imagine that game is going to be a little bit of an emotional roller coaster just with what's going on in Hawaii right now. Um, San Jose State at number 6 ranked USC, and you have FIU at La Tech, Louisiana Tech. So, I mean, you don't have many games tomorrow. I think you got 8. But, I'm not going to sit here and go through some of these smaller ones because, I don't know much about UTEP and Jacksonville State. I will say UTEP last year was everybody's, you know, betting underdog for a few weeks because they did have, quite a bit of talent as far as on that level. But I will say, as far as Notre Dame and Navy, I'll throw this out there, uh, and I'm sure I'll go ahead and pass it on to you all after I throw this out. But it's the first time we get to see Sam Hartman in a Notre Dame uniform, so that's very exciting. I think uh, from being I'm an ACC fan, so I got to see him play about every week. I didn't watch every game, but just to see him uh, go out there in the games I did watch. He's very impressive. He's smart. He's tough as nails. And you throw him with a program like Notre Dame, who usually has a decent team, albeit that sometimes they say it's a schedule and all of that, but they're usually pretty good. So you throw a top-notch quarterback into that. I mean, it's going to be exciting to see. And Navy's usually, I mean, they're not a team that's going to go and be in the college football playoff, but they're usually a team that can hold their own and make a game interesting. So, Russ, I mean, what do you think about this game? I know me and you was talking about it earlier. What are your thoughts on this?
Um, like you was talking about, yeah, I want to mention you said that this was a diet, college football on a diet, and for some reason it popped up in my mind to say that this was a fat-free football weekend because if you got
Yes.
a steak, steak is great regardless. But have a little fat on there, it's real good, and we are gonna get some football this weekend, but it ain't got it ain't got the fat on it, guy. It ain't got Alabama, it ain't got Georgia, it ain't got you know these big schools, as many big schools. But you do have USC and Notre Dame, and um, but like you said, Sam Hartman, this is his first year um, at Notre Dame. Played really well last year for Wake Forest. That I think he had like 38 touchdowns, like 12 interceptions last year. Real good completion rate. I mean, we'll see how he does at Notre Dame. I mean, I would suspect that he would do really well for Marcus Freeman. Um, but I did see that they got a new offense coordinator this year, and he wasn't a name that really stood out to me. So we'll see. I hope that he can. I hope he does good. I really do. Like I want to see him do well. He done really well in the ACC last year. He's going to play some different competition this year. So we'll see. I think
Yeah,
he'll do well.
their former OC, Tommy Reese, he is actually at Alabama right now.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Jamar, what do you think about this game? I know it's early in the season and not much out there right now, but it's what we got for week 0.
Something about me and fat free goes together. So uh, in my weekend we'll have nothing fat free whatsoever. I do think the Notre Dame and Navy game is very interesting because it's such a event being over there where it's at. It almost, it obviously, uh, Notre Dame will be favored, but it almost feels like a kind of like a trap game for Notre Dame with the
Yeah.
new everything, new coordinator, new quarterback. Um, although he's a vet and has played a lot of football, that's the whole thing. It's not just a trip to somewhere in the states and another road game. That's an event they're going to, so that's like a show almost. So how they handle that, and a lot of distractions. I'm sure that's going to be going on.
Yeah. And,
It feels like it could be a early upset. I don't know how good Navy is supposed to be, but
well,
you never know about games like that.
the betting line right now is 20.5
Yeah,
points.
so I mean it'll be a huge upset, but
Yeah.
you just never know.
No, I mean I could
Um,
see it being close either
yeah,
way.
yeah. I mean, I would almost. I don't follow Navy enough throughout the year to know what they're bringing back, what they have recruiting. I would probably take the over 20.5, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It almost feels
You
like
never
an
know
under
about
just
Navy.
because it's a overseas thing, but it's I mean, but as far as the rest of those games, how college football in the bye weeks is that what are the benefits of like a USC and somebody ranked like that? What are the benefits of playing this week? Is it just a scheduling
Um,
thing? Is it to get a bye week where you want it, or is it you get an extra one? Or
it might possibly be because it doesn't really add up when you think about it. Um,
yeah, I mean you
so
would think
maybe they
somewhere in
do.
there you have to have something has to you have another
Yeah.
buy or something. I'm not sure how that works, but I don't know what you'd benefit other than just a little uh, early jump on getting started. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
how that would help, but
When you get a little bit of exposure, I think, you know, some of these teams like Hawaii or Vanderbilt, I mean, some of these teams kind of get drowned out once the season starts. So maybe this is their opportunity to get some exposure. Now, USC, on the other hand,
yeah, you
you know,
you're
they're,
you're plenty exposed
yeah,
at USC. You don't
yeah,
need the help in that department.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
And,
I don't know.
there's such a hunger for college football right now. Like everybody wants to watch football. Like it's just that time. So this is a good opportunity for these teams that don't have as much recognition. Like you're not gonna see Hawaii on TV very often this year, and this is a good opportunity for them. So why not take it? So
yeah, 100%.
And
While
speaking of
we're,
games late, sorry to interrupt you, Kim, but I seen
you
Mike
know,
Webb at the game last night. Um, his son Seth playing at Penn.
yeah,
Uh, that they only been started full pads and hitting for like a few days. They don't start till I'm thinking he was saying something.
hmm,
I'm gonna mess this up exactly how he said it, but like they don't really start classes until maybe this week, or
hmm,
it's much later than everyone
yeah,
else, and their season starts much later than everyone else's in the Ivy League. So you got two different. I mean, college football is college football. You would think there's such a huge difference from teams are
yeah,
playing today. Some teams won't be playing for 2 more weeks or three even. I can't remember for sure, but
right.
that's very. It's a very broad opening
yeah. No, it's
opening weekend.
interesting. And especially in the Ivy League, I mean, we don't really see much about it, and they could have always done this. I wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah,
Uh,
I had no idea. I just
yeah,
assumed that I was asking him how he was doing, and I assumed they were getting ready to play a game, not this week but next.
yeah.
And yeah, apparently they're even farther behind in it than everyone else in D1.
Well, you mentioned USC playing, we're talking about them playing San Jose State tomorrow. I know that me and you, Mar, have kind of gave our Heisman predictions. Rusty, what do you think? Tomorrow we're getting the defending Heisman champion. He's going to be back, or Heisman winner, rather. Um, so, what do you think about him? Do you think he's going to defend it, or do you think somebody is going to take over?
Uh, I think Caleb Williams is going to have a great season. I mean, I think that he's got some receivers coming back, and I know they recruited some highly rated guys, highly touted guys for them to come in and help out. So from what I've seen in the recruiting, they've done really well. Um, Lincoln Riley's just a heck of a coach out there, and um, I think he's gonna pat stats tomorrow. That's all it's gonna be. Like I don't see San Jose State having a chance against USC. So I mean it would not surprise me if Caleb Williams has 4 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, 400 yards, 400 yards, and probably a rushing or two rushing touchdowns tomorrow. Like it's just going to be.
6 touchdown game for him tomorrow, you
I
think?
mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. Um, I mean, I'm sure they're going to have a rushing touchdown or 2 rushing touchdowns, but like he's gonna let it fly tomorrow.
What do you
Um,
think about him defending his Heisman? Do you think that somebody could overthrow him this year?
I think so. This is my thing. I think it's so hard for someone to come in and win it twice in a row. Like there's a lot of guys coming in. Um, this. I mean, season starts tomorrow, but the real season starts next week, and there's always someone new that's going to come up to the plate. Um, you got the running back for Ohio State. Like we've had a lot of quarterbacks win the Heisman here in the
Oh
last.
yeah.
I think Ezekiel Elliott did Zeke win the Heisman that year in
Mm,
2015, 2014, somewhere around there. I
I
don't
don't
remember the
remember.
last running back to win the Heisman. We haven't had a running back win the Heisman in a while. Not
You
that
want
I
me to
can
see?
remember. Um, Zeke may not even won it. I know they won the. I know he won the championship. Ohio State won it in 2015. But as far as a running back to win the Heisman, like that's what like I'm waiting to see because we've had so many quarterbacks win it over the last 10 years. I think we lost Mar. Are you
Can y'all
back?
hear me? 'Cause I can see y'all the
I
whole
can
Yeah.
hear
time.
you. I can hear you.
So 2015 was the last running back, and it was Derrick Henry
Derrick Henry. Okay,
who
so
won it. Yeah.
yeah, I know Ohio State won the national championship that year, and Zeke was he was phenomenal. I completely forgot about it. Yeah, but Derrick Henry winning it 2015, like
Yeah.
I just don't see someone winning it 2 times nowadays. Like there's just so much talent um, that goes with it. We haven't had a back to
Mm.
back. I haven't had a 2-time Heisman winner in a long time,
I think
and
was it Archie was the last one.
uh,
I think. I mean, is he the only one? I think he might be the only one.
it may be. I'm not 100% sure. Um, I'm gonna look it up.
That's what I'm
While y'all
doing
are
right
talking about
now.
that, we can. I'll
Yeah.
throw this out there about the Heisman. Do you think if you're coaching one of these teams that has a Heisman hopeful, a game like, for example, USC and who they're playing, do you make a conscious effort to make sure that Williams gets? I mean, it's a lot easier as a quarterback, obviously, because that's what you're playing through. But when you call a game, are you calling maybe taking a few more shots for him to get more chances to get his numbers up?
I mean,
Not just USC, but any of these schools? Are you trying to get those, make sure they get them, or are you just calling a game naturally, and if it happens, it happens?
for me, I would stay within the game plan. I think that a game like that, once you're up by a few touchdowns, I mean, once you're comfortable and you know that the game's over, uh, I if you leave him in there at all, I would start calling to maybe keep him not as much pat stats, but more of keeping him safe
Yeah.
because you don't want to be up 30, 40 points and have him in there to pat stats and him get hurt because that's the most important
Well,
thing is
yeah,
having
more
him
than
for the whole
keeping him
year.
in late, I guess I meant
Mm.
more like
No, I
You
know
come
the
out
play
throwing
calling
more
and stuff
early
like
before
that.
you
Yeah,
know, instead of trying to be 50-50 with the run and pass, do you go pass heavy in a game like this and try to,
I
you
think you
know,
just stick to the game
or do
plan
you think
because
that
yeah, I think you
comes
need to.
across any of these guys' minds about that? Or I'm sure they all say they're
Yeah,
gonna call it how they would, but you think it
I mean it might.
waking
Yeah,
up at some point?
I mean they would never admit it. I'm sure. I would say it probably comes in the players' mind more than it does the
Yeah.
coaches.
Did you find it, Rusty?
Yeah, it was Archie Griffin was the only one, and that was in
Yeah,
the 70s. So as far as I don't see Caleb winning it again. It's just it's just hard nowadays. Like there's been Tebow could have won it twice. He didn't. There was multiple guys that probably could have won it twice. Um, but I think Caleb Williams is going to have a great season. I think he's probably going to be the number one pick in the draft next year, depending on who's needed. I've not looked at any draft boards for next year, but he's more than likely him and Drake May are going to be the top quarterbacks at the end of the season. And depending on what the team needs, they're going to be the number one picks. But I don't see him winning it again this year. I could see, honestly, I want to see a running back or receiver win it. I mean, if you ask me, my opinion or what I would like to see, I'd like to see a tight end win it, and I want it to be
I'm
Brock
sure you would.
Bowers. I want Brock Bowers to win the Heisman, but I don't see it happening. I don't know if there's ever been a time that a tight end has ever won the Heisman, but if it was ever going to be, I would like to see him do it. I think he's done really well, and this is his third year, and he's been phenomenal. But if it's not going to be, him, I would like to see somebody like Marvin Harrison Jr. Somebody like that. Somebody that's a position that's not won it in a long time. I want to see that. To change it up. There's just been too many quarterbacks that's won it.
The last receiver to win it is more recent than a running back, and it's Devontae Smith.
Oh well, yeah. Well, I've completely forgot about
But
Devontae
that's
Smith.
still one in the last like 8. I think that that wasn't a quarterback. The quarterback just gets. I mean, a lot of the plays go through them, so they get a lot of attention. Which
All the plays go through
Every
them.
play,
yeah,
they
That's my
touch the
thing.
ball
Yeah,
second,
well,
technically.
yeah. I
well,
mean, you might
majority
hand
of
it
them,
off,
unless you're in
hand it off,
Wildcat
but
or something. But
Yeah.
yeah,
what I'm saying is more or less is that as far as passing and stuff goes, they just receive a lot of the hate, but they receive a lot of the good stuff too. That just comes with that position.
I can see a running back being more likely to win in one before a receiver, just because if the receiver has that big a year, unless you're going 2 quarterback system, that quarterback's got just all those yards also on top of what he's doing with the other guys. So that's probably why it's so hard for a receiver to, unless you're just such a standout that it's
Like Devontae
obvious or
was.
something. But
Yeah.
one question: who was up against Devontae when he won it?
Mm. I
I
don't
Was
don't
know.
there
know.
any? Was there less competition that year at that position? Maybe was it a down year or was it?
I'm not sure. Which, granted, I mean, he had an amazing year, and he had an amazing national championship game too.
The other thing I was going to ask you all: is there any defensive players that you can think of this year that might have like return guys that also play
Yeah.
defense that might have an outside chance at getting an
Well,
invite?
before I say that, the finalists were Trevor Lawrence, uh, Mac Jones, and Kyle Trask. Then, of course, Devontae won. So you had Lawrence in there, but then you also did have the Alabama quarterback too. To your point, so he was in
Yeah.
there. But no, so defensive players that have a chance.
They'd almost have to be
I don't.
return guys too.
Yeah, that's the
You
thing
got
is,
to be that position to win Heisman. You got to
yeah,
have punt return touchdowns and some other things
Yeah.
going for you.
I don't know anybody off the top of my head yet that's a premier defensive player that's also a returner. I do know as far as, you know, Teo got in there one time as a linebacker, which, I mean, that was a whole separate situation, and what he meant to that team was way different. But, uh, you have Perkins from LSU, and he's kind of a hybrid linebacker. He can rush off the edge, he can cover, he can stop the run. He can kind of do it all. I mean, I guess it depends on if LSU ends up being a lot better. I mean, I think they're going to be good, but I mean, if they end up, getting that Final Four, I think he would have to be a huge part of that. So, I mean, you make the same argument that Jaden Daniels, the quarterback, would be too. So who knows? I mean, I think that if he would come out, Perkins comes out and has a very impressive game week one against Travis, Florida State, and gets a few sacks or gets a pick or just, has a ridiculous game, that's going to throw him in the spotlight. And then you add that onto the season that he's probably going to have. I'm not saying he'd get in it, but that would be my pick as far as somebody that would get close.
Speaking of LSU, was Honey Badger the last defensive back that was invited into New York for the Heisman?
I think so. I mean, just as far as um, my memory goes, I don't think I remember another one. Before that, it would have been what?
It's a shame we don't have a
Woodson?
guy like Jamie that Joe Rogan has just come up with these answers right off the
Yeah, no,
bat.
we're gonna have to find us one. Have him in the background, just being a producer,
Hold on,
doing all the
I'm
fun
looking it up
stuff.
right now. Let's
Yeah.
see here.
I mean, I know you've had a few good cornerbacks come through, but I'm not sure any that's made to the Heisman. I mean, you think we've had a lot of good cornerbacks. Patrick Surtain was there just a few years ago. He was great. I mean,
So
you
I got.
have some.
Go
Go
ahead. Go
ahead.
ahead. Okay, so we did have one defensive player in the last. It was in 2021. It was Aiden Hutchinson for Michigan. So
Oh yeah,
I'd completely
Defensive
forgot
end,
about
yeah.
him.
has one of the
So yeah.
best rookie performances on Hard Knocks.
Oh yeah, didn't he
The
sing?
talent show, the rookie talent
Yeah,
show, has one of the best ones.
yeah,
This year was a good one too. The guy rapped the rap battle in 8 Mile.
yeah.
He did the rap battle. It was pretty good.
I still need to watch that. I've been kind of stuck on the Swamp. Been watching it.
It's great.
Yeah, I'm on episode 4 right now. I will say that I've
Is it
seen
a
a lot of
Tim
hate
Tebow
for it.
love fest basically, or is it actually about more
Well,
than
I've
just
not
him?
heard anybody say it's a Tim Tebow love fest, but I have heard a lot of people say it's an Urban Meyer uh, propaganda thing.
That's even
That
worse.
that Urban Meyer has had his hand in a lot of it, which I can kind of see a little bit. But I've not watched the 4th episode, so I
Urban
can't
Meyer's had his hand on a
say
lot of
it.
things the last few years. If you remember some of them videos and pictures.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And you can tell in this documentary he's I don't want to he's not unprofessional, but he's more just open. He's not worried about being politically correct. I mean, he's just like a normal guy talking, but he talks in a way that you don't see like a professional coach talk. He doesn't worry about throwing a cuss word out here and there. It's a Netflix documentary, and the one thing I do think is cool about it is that I watched on the Paul Feinbaum show that the director of this documentary, while they were filming it, actually found like 600, I think it was 650 hours worth of videotapes from those years. So they had to go through all of those, and then Rusty, because you've watched it all. There's a lot of the video in the locker room or the practices and all that stuff. It's from like that set of videos. So that's pretty cool to me because I like seeing that behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of articles that I've read. You and I've had this talk. There was a lot of things that I had completely forgot or didn't even know about. There's things that like, the Carlos Dunlap arrest before the 2009 SEC championship. There was a lot of things missing out of it. I really would like to have heard a lot. I would have liked to heard from Percy Harvin for one. Uh, he
Yeah.
was not even he wasn't even in the documentary. Um, I knew going into it there wasn't gonna be a whole lot of Aaron Hernandez. That's kind of a sore spot still for them, I
Well,
guess. Um,
you would think
even
they'd have to bring it up at some point, but
he actually wasn't brought up, but
do you
maybe
think it
once
would?
or twice.
Do you think they think it would
No.
distract from the purpose of the documentary or something where it's not really football related?
I would assume that would have something to do with it. I think the only issue that ever got brought up in the documentary was when Tebow and him were in a restaurant and there was racial slurs being thrown at Hernandez, and
Mhm.
Hernandez got in that fight at that restaurant, and that was the only thing that ever got said anything about Aaron Hernandez. So
They talk about Cam Newton and his laptop scandal or whatever it was.
no,
What
no,
was that? Is that what?
yeah,
Wasn't it
yeah,
something
he's the
about
one
him and
that
a laptop?
yeah, he stole a laptop off of a student at Florida, and they never got
I
mentioned
never got.
anything
Yeah.
about that.
Hmm.
But nevertheless, it's fun to watch. It's pretty nostalgic. It was a big part of my childhood watching Tim Tebow run around and score touchdowns and make his awesome speeches he made. So, um, I think we've kind of hit on a lot of this week zero stuff, and uh, I don't know if anything you all want to add before the season gets started. Uh, if not, we'll move on. But anything you all want to throw out there before we get week one started? I'm sure that we'll have a preview for it. But anything that's getting you excited?
Being a Georgia fan, that's the only thing. Staying excited.
You might as well
Yeah,
take a
I'm
nap and
sure.
wake up in 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
we don't
here's the
play
thing,
Ain't
nobody.
though.
nothing worth watching for you for a while.
Yeah. Here's the thing about having that kind of schedule is you should win every game. But if you lose one, it's going to sting.
I
It's not like
think.
you're going against Alabama and then you happen to lose a close one.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, there's no excuse.
yeah,
We are favored in every single game. Um, but like I'm not gonna be naive to believe that we can't lose. Like we can lose. We almost
yeah,
lost multiple games last year. Missouri
yeah,
should have beat
Missouri.
us.
Yeah,
And the game that I went to against Kent State. Kent State played a game like Kent State should not have been in that ball game, and they stayed in the ball game until the third quarter. And
yeah,
like we were winning the whole game, but they played us really well compared to what you would expect. And then the Missouri game, I mean, we didn't start winning that. We didn't win that game until the fourth quarter. That was legit. And if we'd have lost that game, who would have known if we'd have even been in the SEC championship? It could have been destructive for the whole
yeah.
the whole season. So,
I
but I
think
think
this is a.
go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was just want to say that if there's one team, like I know a lot of people think, oh well, Tennessee, depending on how Tennessee plays, um, that they might have a chance at beating Georgia. I fear one team more than I fear Tennessee this year, and that is South Carolina. We played them week 3, and they finished off on a real good note last year, and this is I think Spencer Rattler's fourth season in college.
It was the seventh season.
10 years he's been in college forever, but I mean if they are the team that can upset someone. Like they might play bad one week, but then they turn right around and they play someone really well the next. So that's the one game that I'm nervous about. Um, but
I
other
think
than
that
that,
I'm in the minority. I think that South Carolina is overrated. I think that they had a few good games at the end last year, but I think that Tennessee game was influenced a lot by the off the field issues that were going on before that game with the I think it was the quarterback getting punched in practice, one of the quarterbacks, and you had some issues with the defense and offense going back and forth with each other, which shouldn't happen with a team like that. But then you had Hendon Hooker go down in the first quarter, or at least the first half. Granted, I think Milton's a good quarterback, but you throw him into an environment like that at South Carolina, Uh, he just, I mean, they couldn't handle it. But with that being said, I'm just not. I'm not so high on them. I do think they're going to be decent, but for me, I think the team to watch for is going to be Kentucky. I think Stoops is a heck of a coach. It seems like they have a decent defense almost every year, and you bring in Leary from NC State, and he was a heck of a quarterback at NC State. So he's experienced, he's got talent. You're going to have him in there with what I think will be a decent defense. I think, I think they're going to be a team to watch for in the SEC, and one that's going to kind of surprise people. I'm not sure they're not going to be in the top 10 or anything, but I could see them being in that 17 through 25 range as far as rankings go. They were good last year. Then I think Levis kind of imploded a little bit in a few games, and they let a few of them get by them. And that Ole Miss game, that game was a huge game at the time. I
Yeah.
think they were both undefeated, or they were both at least ranked pretty high. And Ole Miss just managed to pull away, but they've got talent. They've got a great coach, and they can recruit well.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you, but I mean, I'm not like I don't want to sound like South Carolina is going to be in any SEC contention or anything because I don't think so. But I think that they can upset teams, just like Ole
yeah,
Miss can upset teams. Like there's just teams like if you don't show up, I mean, you're not going to win. I mean, at least in the SEC, like that's one thing that I've these teams, if you like though you better pack a lunch because you gonna work for the win regardless. I mean, who would have thought Missouri would have gave us the game they did last year? And
yeah,
I know Ole Miss, Alabama. That's always a game that Alabama marks on their calendar because you never know. And even like Texas A&M. Texas A&M may lose 3 or 4 games, but
no,
they play Alabama. It's just a different it's just a different atmosphere
no.
down there. So
Or
um,
just matchups, styles, and all that. Everything goes into it.
yeah,
Georgia's there's nothing going to be fat free about Georgia's schedule this year because y'all played a bunch of cupcakes.
yeah, we do.
Yeah,
Changes next year.
Hey,
very
the only
sweet
reason
schedule.
Cameron's not giving South Carolina any credit is because Beamer's coaching there and he's a Virginia fan, so don't pay no attention to what he's saying.
Uh,
And I was going to say earlier,
I
I
knew that.
think
I knew
this
he was gonna
could
say
be
that.
Kirby Smart's. It might take his best year, coaching year, just keeping them from getting bored almost
Mm.
because there's no real big game to get up for, like as far as a high ranked opponent. So we could see him have to pull out his one of his better, not X and O's coaches, but coaching years, but keeping them sharp, keeping them engaged until they do get late in the season. I think that'll be real important for them going this year because it happens to teams. I mean, people can say they don't look ahead or this and that, but these guys ain't stupid. They know they're better than everybody on their schedule, and they know what the only goal they have this year is win the whole thing or just disappointment. So that'll be his biggest challenge, I think, this year is keeping them engaged throughout some of these early season.
Well, most of the kids that are there right now, all they've ever done is win.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, if you've been there the past 2 years, you've won 2 national championships. You've lost 1 game against Alabama, and um, I mean that's is what it is.
that's not
These
too
guys
shabby.
are not used to losing, so when they come there, when you're undefeated and you just expect to win every single game, and eventually you're gonna get hit. And I mean, hopefully it's not, if we're gonna lose, hopefully it's in the SEC championship and it's by like, you know, and bull crap play or whatever, and then they throw us in the playoff, and then we go and
You're,
we get back in there.
yeah, you're getting in the playoffs regardless. If y'all go undefeated throughout the year and you lose an SEC championship, you're still getting in the playoffs. There's no way
What
they're not
Well,
gonna
yeah,
put a two-time defending national champion that made it to their conference championship and presumably loses to an Alabama or LSU
I don't know
in
about
the
that.
Final Four.
Th-
I
I'm
don't see it.
I'm not sure about that just because of how, and it's not your fault, but how weak your schedule is this year with the some of those SEC teams not being ranked very high. If you go through that schedule and you don't, let's say you struggle with a couple, and you're not just absolutely demolishing everybody, and you get to the SEC championship game and you lose, and it's, let's say it's not real close, but you lose by a touchdown or more or something.
Right.
I can see some people being like, "Oh, well, they ain't played no ball here." Also, it all comes down to who else is looking to get in. Do you have an undefeated? Do you have,
Yeah,
So I
that's
can
the
see a
key.
situation though where y'all lose the SEC championship game, and because of your schedule, maybe somebody jumps up. I mean, it's
Yeah.
very unlikely, but I can see that.
That's where the schedule hinders us.
Yeah,
If we lose to, say, we lost to South Carolina, and then South Carolina finishes their season off 8-4 or 9-3 or whatever, they still have a couple losses on their resume. I mean, it hinders us. If you're not blowing people out in the SEC, or you're not at least winning by, you're not showing something, and then you come to the SEC championship and you lose. Plus you also got the expansion. You got Texas, Oklahoma coming in. These big, these other schools coming in. It's just, it's tough, and I don't expect Georgia to win it every single year. I mean, that's just not going to happen. Especially when more and more of these teams keep coming in. It's just so hard to win in the SEC,
Yep.
and been lucky to do it the last 2 years.
what
So,
game are you going to this year?
Ball State, September 9th.
Ball State.
Week 1, ain't it?
I don't want to
It's
say
week
it,
Or
but
two.
week 2?
that'd be funny if that'd be the one that they.
Well,
How
I'm taking
funny
the
would that be?
kids. I'm taking the kids this time,
That,
so I
that
would
might be a.
hope
Ooh, they might
that
not
would
want
make
to
me
see
sick.
that.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think we've kind of hit everything on the college level. We kind of ran through some high school and some college. Not really much NFL news other than the fact that our third string quarterback is probably the most famous third string quarterback ever in the NFL, I think, right now. He's got traded to the Cowboys tonight. Trey Lance is now a Cowboy, which I fully expected him to get traded after the fact that he got benched the other day. They said they wanted to do right by him and give him an opportunity somewhere else. I guess they still like him. But man, it does sting a little bit that it's the Cowboys. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm not saying he's gonna
You're
go over
not
there
going to
and do
see him in a
great.
jersey, so don't worry about it.
No, it's just I
That's
don't
his,
know.
a
It's just
shot on the bench.
yeah, it's just something that's. I mean, I don't know. The way Dak plays, you never know. And then it's
Who's their
Cooper Rush.
backup?
Well, Cooper Rush, he came in and did pretty
It ain't
well
gonna be
last
Lance.
year. No, so
He can't beat out. I mean, I don't think they're bringing him in there to be the backup. I
I
wouldn't
mean, I
think,
don't
right?
know.
Or
They traded a fourth round pick for him, which in the NFL is
yeah,
not a
maybe.
super bad pick. I
That's
mean,
what that's what would burn for me, is you picking him so high in the draft, which that's of course where he was projected to go,
yeah,
and then you're kind of like, okay, you're given a first round, but you're getting a fourth round back out of it.
yeah.
That's
Well,
what kind of
and like I was saying earlier, off air, it would have bothered me a lot more if he came out and he just sucked, like Demarcus Russell, uh, and we ended up being in a situation where we didn't have a quarterback. But I feel like we still have three good quarterbacks. I mean, you got Brock, who I think is very productive last year in our offense. Uh, you know, we'll see if it was kind of like some insanity type stuff where you come in and you play great for a short period of time and then you disappear. I pray it's not. I don't think it will be. Just seeing how he prepares and how he's done in the preseason as far as in training camp and stuff already. But let's just say that it does. Darnold can come in, and I don't think Darnold is, He's not what they thought he was going to be when he came out of college, but he is experienced. He has a strong arm, and in their offense, like you don't have to be Tom Brady. You don't have to be Patrick Mahomes. You just got to hit the open man every now and then.
You just have to
And
not be Jimmy Garoppolo.
yeah, well, I mean, even Jimmy was successful in our offense. If that tells you how, you know, how good that offense is with Kyle coaching, and then the third quarterback, Brandon Allen, he was QB2 behind Joe Burrow last year at Cincinnati, and everybody seems real high on him just from talking about it. And our buddy Thomas is a huge Bengals fan, and he was real high on him. So I feel real comfortable going into this year with all three of them because for me, if any of those three get put in there, I feel like we can win ball games just because of our roster. Now, if we start having injuries in other places, especially on the offensive line, then I'm scared. I think
That's
I'm
we're gonna
gonna
have
say
issues.
this. I'm gonna say it very carefully. The only um, way I would ever entertain thinking about, and I notice I said thinking about. I hope it doesn't happen because I'll never want them to win one. But the only way I would ever let it enter in my brain of thinking about Dallas winning the Super Bowl would be if somehow something happened to Dak and uh, Trey Lance led them to, and that would be how they won. It would almost be worth it just to
oh
see
man.
your reaction.
I'm not gonna
But
lie
I
to
do
you
not
though.
want. I would rather just not it happen. 'Cause I'm
Yeah,
not pulling for Dallas to
I
win
don't
Super
have a
Bowl.
sore spot for Lance. Like it don't
That
like it,
wouldn't rub you the wrong way if the one
no,
guy
like
y'all traded up for went to Dallas,
well,
started come in
I'm
and took over the job. Y'all was arch
yeah.
nemesis from back in the 80s and 90s, and beat you like won a Super Bowl for them.
That part, the last part, it's not that it's the Lance, it would be that it's the Cowboys winning,
It would sting a little bit
and
more
that
than
that
that.
is what would bother me the most because I like Lance. I hope he does go and succeed. I hope he does take Dak's spot because I think he's a great guy. I think it's really unfortunate the set of circumstances. It's not really all his fault. He comes in, he doesn't have a lot of experience anyway, so he's working from behind. Uh, he comes in and he gets hurt the first year, hurts his thumb. Second year, they hand the keys over to him. They're like, "Here, the team is yours. We're ready to give it to you." And then he breaks his ankle second game. And so then you're coming into this year. Brock came in and filled in last year at the end of the year and played great. He gave us everything that Garoppolo did passing wise, but then he gave us some deeper throws and he gave us mobility in the pocket. So you can't bench the dude because he was like undefeated in the games that he played. The Eagles game he got hurt, uh, so you can't just bench him and throw Trey back in over him. So it's
No,
just
I agree. I don't think you should at all.
yeah, it's just really unfortunate for Trey. But that's kind of my point is that I don't hate the dude. If he goes away from me, I
I'm
want
not
him to
saying you hate him.
succeed.
I'm just telling you.
Yeah,
I know for a fact. You can give that little politician answer all you want to, and be very. I know how you would
yeah.
feel if Lance won the Cowboys the Super Bowl, and you can just quit acting like it wouldn't absolutely kill you.
Like I said, I'd be happy for Trey, but I'm not happy for the Cowboys. That
Uh,
game between
all
us
right, keep
is
politicking then.
that might be the most like that's bigger than Seahawks at the moment, just because the Seahawks, I mean, they're still decent. They've gotten back up there, but they've fallen off from like the Legion of Boom days. So I'd say our biggest rival is Dallas right now, just because we've met them 2 straight years in the playoffs.
I think a win for you all is just to keep a quarterback healthy all year long. Like that's a win for the 49ers because y'all
Yeah,
have struggled so bad the last couple of years. Like if y'all can go
yeah,
through the whole season keeping one quarterback healthy and playing, then I mean that's an improvement over the last couple of years. I mean, of course, I know you want a Super Bowl, but you got to have a quarterback
yeah.
healthy.
Well, yeah, if we have the quarterback healthy, I think it gives us our best chance at
Well,
that.
definitely.
But we're going to find out a lot coming up here soon. Um, we got 2 weeks and the season starts, so we'll see. We got to get Bosa signed back first because they're working on his record-breaking deal right now. And I know what you're thinking, Jamar.
Where's he gonna sign it?
Now he's going to sign back with us. Thomas, I know
Uh-huh.
if you're out there and you hear this, you keep your hands off my Defensive Player of the Year. He's not going to be a Bengal. So
We don't have the cap space for him, but we'll take him in Miami.
Miami, gosh, you all try to get everybody. You
Y'all
all,
just
Why
picking
not?
up y'all just
yeah,
whoever wants to come, y'all are open border down there.
Indy,
Yeah,
Indy just rejected a trade that you all
I
put out
know.
for Jonathan Taylor. I mean, you all are just trying to get everybody.
I know.
What'd y'all offer?
I
I'm
don't know.
not
I
even
don't.
sure what it
I'm not
was.
sure what the offer was. I
Yeah,
know the
yeah,
last I'd seen that we had
yeah.
offered, and that was it. They never. I never seen what they
Catch me and
offered.
Mercy on a good day. Depends on what kind of dosage he took that day. You might catch him on an off day. He'll accept it.
Well,
Yeah.
from what I understand, is they're not going to take anything short of a first-round pick or something of equal value, and that's you're probably not going to get that from a team that's going to have to trade a first-round pick and then pay him what he's wanting to get paid.
Yeah, that's what's
Yeah.
stupid
Not for
about
running
this. I
back.
don't
Yeah,
know what him and his age. Everything I've read
yeah,
about it's Taylor's new agent is the problem in this whole situation, and I don't know how this turns out good for anybody, Taylor or the Colts, because I mean he's not going to have. I don't think anybody's going to pay him that much
no,
No.
that I know of. I think he would have had a better chance of getting more money in Indy than he would anywhere else if he'd have just kind of settled for a little less, or just wait, figured it out and waited till next year. I think
Like
we would have paid
Saquon.
him more than most
yeah,
people would have.
Yeah.
yeah,
Just like
But
Saquon.
yeah. Saquon did a year. You know, the ironic thing about Saquon's, from what I'd read, is it really wasn't but like 1 million or 2 million more than what he would have already made. But it is still a 1 year deal, so he can kind of control his future, I guess, in that aspect. But we've kind of hit on the NFL a little bit. Um, we got a fight night tomorrow, which a UFC fight morning. Starting at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, we have Max Holloway versus the Korean Zombie, UFC Singapore. I'll try to have this up for you guys here, so that way you all can see the lineup. Uh, there's actually quite a few quality fights on this card. I didn't even realize it until I was looking at it this morning. So, we got, before we start this, I know I'm going to butcher some of these names, so thankfully it's on the screen for the ones that are watching on YouTube.
you
And
reckon
we'll
anybody's
just,
watching?
well, I mean, they're not right now, it's not
I
live,
mean,
but
not
when I
now,
put it
obviously,
out,
but do we have? I was going to
we
ask
got
you
a
about
few
that.
people that's
People
watching.
actually looking at us? Because if I find out people might
Yeah,
actually be watching us, I might get a little nervous or something.
yeah,
I did.
no, I know.
I did
I
not know
just
this was.
assume that nobody's ever going to
Yeah,
watch it, so it makes me feel more comfortable.
yeah. I'm not sure that we got a lot of viewers on it, but we're gonna put it out there. Hopefully some people do enjoy watching it. I think we had around 10, I think, but that's 10 more than I expected. So, uh, but to go through this lineup, here's a heavyweight bout: Junior Tafa versus Parker Porter. I don't know either one of these guys, to be honest with you, but I can say that Junior's mustache game is top notch.
Is that a bear tattoo on Parker Porter's
That.
shoulder? Is that what that is?
It might be.
Ah.
He looks like a bear.
Yeah, he looks
I
like a
can't
bear.
really see it.
Yeah. And then we have now this is actually a big fight. This one should, in my opinion, be the co-main event. You have Aaron Blanchfield versus Talia Santos. Uh,
I don't understand
Blanchfield
why this
ranked
fight is
3.
so. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't understand why this fight's so far down on the card. Like, why is Alex Saris like fighting above this? Like, it just makes no sense. And I've never heard of Renya Nakamura or the Fernie Garcia guy. I've never heard of those guys.
No, I'm not either. Now I will say, which we'll get up here to these other ones. But with Blanchfield, if she wins this fight, she's gonna be fighting for a title next. So I think that she's in the same I'm not mistaken, she's in the same division as Valentina, which Valentina's trying to get her belt back. Um, Let me check it out real
Well,
quick. But
well,
now Blanchfield was pretty impressive in her last outing.
well, she's
Y'all want
she's
to
on an
know
eight
why
fight win
that
streak
that
right
fight's
now.
down there? I'll tell you the truth. It might make people mad because I'm just a little more than casual. I wouldn't call myself a. I don't like I don't follow every single thing or read like about these fights. Like we get a lot of UFC cards and watch them, but
Yeah.
you know I wouldn't call myself just a casual fan, but I'm not much higher above that probably. Um, and I've never heard of either one of those women.
Well,
So that's a lot of it because Cam just said if she wins, she's probably getting title shot, and I have no idea who she is. That might be one of the reasons. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just
well,
saying.
Blanchfield right now, she's coming off of a
Uh,
win against Jessica Andrade. I know you remember who
Yeah, I know.
Andrade
I
is.
recognize her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and she
I
also
mean that's
beat.
probably why they're not up there because I mean your average
Yeah,
UFC fan may have no idea who they are.
right.
yeah, and it might be the case, which I do think though, like she'll be fighting for the title next.
Well,
Either Alex
Blanchfield.
Grasso or Valentina, it don't matter. Like if she wins this fight, which I think she will, she'll be fighting for the title.
Well, Blanchfield's on an 8 fight win streak. I mean, I did do a couple of notes on, she's on an 8 fight win streak. The last 3 fights she's won by a
Yeah,
finish submission, and the last fight she and was against Andrade. So, if she wins this, more than likely, if she's not getting a title shot, there's a problem. And
yeah,
then Santos, she, she's on a 1 fight losing streak, and it was against Valentino like a year ago, and it was for the title,
mm.
and it was by split decision. It was by decision she lost.
Yeah. So I recognize that name, and so after you said that, I do remember watching that fight. Uh, she was very impressive in that fight. Now you could tell her she wasn't ready for that moment. She got up there and you could tell she was nervous. But she fought Valentina, probably the best anybody's fought her, besides Amanda Nunes. But she probably fought Valentina the best anybody's ever fought her until, Alexa beat her. So Santos is very impressive. Uh, more than anything, her heart, like the way she
Yeah,
fought in that last fight. Uh, but I still give Aaron the win.
I think I'm gonna give. I
Oh,
mean, I've never watched Santos fight. I think I have watched Aaron fight before. But Santos, I've never watched her fight. The fact that she fought Valentina, a year ago and lost by split decision, that's a tough break. I'm gonna go with her. Or by decision. Why? I mean, I don't. I have nothing to lose on it. Why not? See
yeah.
it. Maybe if she comes by decision, that'd be cool. I mean, maybe they can run it back or something.
Yeah.
I'll pick Blanchfield too.
Well, we have, since you've done a little research, Rusty, maybe you can tell us a little bit about Rinya Nakamura versus Fernie Garcia bantamweight bout. Because myself, I watch a lot, and I've not stayed up on either one of these guys. I've not seen either one of these guys fight.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't do any research on these two guys. I
Yeah,
like I if I didn't know their name, then like I was just like okay. I was afraid to even say his name. I thought I was gonna butcher it.
oh, I,
Yeah, I've
I
never
completely
never watched them.
understand that. Um, so Nakamura right now, he is 7-0, and with Fernie Garcia is 10-3. Nakamura is coming off of a round one knockout of 33 seconds. So that's impressive. Uh, I think
I'm
that what's
picking
that?
Garcia. You got to be a tough guy to be named Fernie.
Sounds like a
Looks like
mafia name, ain't it?
that's boy named Sue type stuff right there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. I think I'm gonna go with Rinya coming off of that round one knockout, undefeated so far. And I don't know if you can see the picture on there. He does not look like a happy camper. Uh,
If I had hair like that, I wouldn't be happy either.
No,
I
no.
don't think I can pick a guy named Fernie. I just don't think so.
Yeah, yeah. Our next bout is now I'm definitely gonna butcher this. I'm just gonna say Giga, uh, Chika, Chika. I don't even know how you say
Chikadze,
that.
I think maybe.
I'm
Chikadze.
glad you're trying. I couldn't.
Chikadze, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I decided to be the one to embarrass myself on air. Um, and Alex,
Nobody's watching. Don't worry.
yeah. Well, I mean, they're probably listening. So Carson, I don't even know how you say his name.
Serious?
Caceres. Yeah.
Caceres.
So why am I doing this? One of you guys need to be the one pronouncing, or
The
we're
only
just
I
reason
getting a
took
I
good
four
know
years of
laugh.
Spanish in
But
high school, but I can't speak it.
yeah, but now I will say that I have seen Giga fight, and he is very impressive. Like, well, he's fun to watch. You know, I don't know if you'll have their stats come up or not, but he is coming off of a loss. But just at least for him, he's a heck of a striker. Uh, when he comes in, his hands are so quick, his feet are so quick. And I think I've watched Alex fight before, and if I'm not mistaken, he's also a heavy striker. So I'd say that's probably why this fight is up as high as it is. I don't have any problems with this fight being in the main card. Me personally, I probably would have had this like fight two and had Aaron fight three. I mean, I think Aaron probably her fight probably could be the co-main, but our next fight does have a pretty big name in it, so I understand what they're doing. I'm going to go with Chikadisi, or how you said his name, uh,
Chikadze, I think. I don't know.
Chikaze, or yeah, I'm going to go with him. But I think it'll be a fun fight. It might actually be fight of the night.
Could be.
I'll go with Caceres.
I'm gonna
I
go with
like the fro.
Chikadze. Now, Alex Caceres, he was on one of the Ultimate Fighters. That's the only reason I know him. He comes out and he's like kicking for the fences. I mean, he's not swinging, he's kicking. Like, it's all he would do. So, I honestly, watching him then, I never would expect that he would still be in the UFC. But, he's doing something right, I guess. But I think I'm going to go with the other guy this time.
Well, especially if it's a kickboxing match, then I don't think that favors Alex. So our co-main event, some familiar faces here. Got Ryan Spann versus Anthony Smith. Some easier names for me to say. So both coming off of losses. Um, Everybody that's watched UFC has probably watched Anthony Smith. He's a vet. He's fun to watch. You know, he's a guy that I think he's always going to be in that top, you know, maybe top 5 to 7 of the light heavyweight rankings, which I think that, was he ranked like eighth right now? Yeah, eighth. So he's always going to be right through there. I'm just not so sure that he's ever going to be fighting for the title again. Uh, with that being said, I'm giving it to him. I think he is a little bit of an underdog. Um, I don't have the odds on here, but I think if I remember right, I think he was like a plus 180, something like that. So
Who Smith is?
yeah,
I'm
so
going with Spann.
yeah, I'm going with him.
You going with Smith?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm going with Smith. He's by decision. He fought Ryan Spann in 2021. I had seen. Actually finished him by submission. So um, Anthony Smith had a tough loss against Johnny Walker the last time he was in the octagon. So I say Smith will come back and he'll win.
Johnny Walker, man, he's fun to watch. So for our main event, you know, opening odds, I think they were around minus 800, and right now, according to this, they're 850. And what, if I remember right, is one of the biggest odd differentials, at least in men's UFC.
I just
Uh,
learned something. I never knew what his actual name was.
the Korean Zombies.
Yeah, I've just always
Yeah,
known him as Korean Zombie. I had no idea it was
yeah,
all that.
Tan
yeah,
Sung Jung.
yeah. well, he's a Korean zombie to us on this podcast. So,
Is that how you say "come on, son" in whatever in
yeah,
Korean?
maybe, might
Come
be.
on, son.
Now,
Yeah.
Say
I
something,
think
dog.
that zombie fighting, like, I don't know, almost 10 years ago against Max, this would be a heck of a fight. Um, I think Max would still maybe edge it out, but I think right now at this point in their careers, I think this is Zombie's last fight. I think this is what he wanted. I think that's why they worked with him and tried to give him something. Uh, because he has done a lot for the UFC. He's one of these guys that was fighting as it was coming up. So he got Max, and unfortunately for him, Max is going to come in very motivated um, after the unfortunate circumstances happened in Hawaii with the wildfires and uh, stuff like
Honestly,
that.
I don't think he's coming in any more motivated than he would have anyway.
No, I don't know, man. I think
Some
tragedy
people
has
you
a.
can say that about. I don't think you can say that about Max. I
Well, I
think
mean, I think
he.
Max was going to come in. I don't think Max is going to come in and be surprised,
I mean, I just don't think
but
you can motivate him any more than he already is.
I don't know, maybe. I think that, something happens like that to you. I mean, especially close to home.
It may
Um,
make him more emotional
yeah,
during the fight, or it may bring more something like that. But as far as just
yeah.
motivation, like him using that as fuel to get up for a fight, I don't think he didn't. To me, he's going to be the same.
Yeah.
Um, like I said, there's a difference in the being motivated and having emotions.
Yeah. Well, I see him coming out and which probably done this anyway. I see him coming out and winning by TKO. I just think his pressure and his volume of striking is gonna be too much. Um, and I don't see Zombie getting him down to the ground. Not at this point in his career.
Go
I
ahead,
want,
Maury.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna go out on a limb and pick an upset, but I can't. Max gonna win.
Y'all got any predictions on how it's gonna end?
Oh, I think it's gonna win by TKO with him just overwhelming him with
Yeah.
punches.
I wouldn't be surprised if it went, the decision, but Max just overwhelms him. It's one of those crazy Max stats with significant strikes being like way up in the some crazy number.
Yeah.
I could see that, but probably be a TKO at some point. But yeah,
I got a
if it is
couple.
his last fight, Korean Zombies, how uh, talk about motivation, how if it gets in if it gets in a spot to where he might have to pull like when he's getting beat, would he start taking some chances to open up more for Maxton, have an easier chance to knock him out? Or is he going to play it safe and still try to protect and do everything? And that's when
Yeah.
the decision can come. I think if it really is his last fight and he knows that, I feel like he's just going to absolutely go for it, and which could very well open himself up for an easier knockout. But
Yeah.
Max wins regardless.
I've got a couple stats that I picked out. The one thing that they have in common though is their last 6 fights, both of them are 3-3. Um, Korean
Yeah,
Zombie
but
hasn't hadn't fought. He fought last year, and that was against Volkanovski. And of course, Max most his losses have been to decision. And Korean Zombie's lost by TKO. Um,
who else is Korean Zombie lost to?
I
Yair a few
yeah,
years
I,
ago
yeah, yeah,
in one
he
of
So
lost to
look,
the
look,
Yair.
Max's only three losses are all to Volk, right?
Volkanovski, yeah,
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 yeah.
and one of
So
them he didn't really lose. So
yeah.
yeah,
I don't know if y'all know this or not, but um, Max hasn't had a finish since 2018, and that was a doctor stoppage against Brian Ortega, and then
yeah,
his hadn't had a real like actual TKO finish since 2017. So
yeah. But that Ortega, that was a TKO finish. I know
Yeah,
it was a
yeah. I
doctor.
mean,
I know it was a
it was
doctor
Doctor
finish,
Stock.
but he caused that. It wasn't no
Yeah.
like accidental poke. No, he was beating Ortega up
Oh
bad.
Y'all
yeah.
watch
Uh,
the Flagrant podcast with the same thing that happened last time. Andrew Schultz and the Indian comic and some other guys. Do y'all watch that
I've
or
I've
listen
seen
to it? Listen to
Schultz.
it. I mean,
I've
well,
seen
Max
him.
is on. Max is on this week, and it's a really good episode. Y'all need to listen to it.
Yeah, I'll check it out. But I had Max. I had Max winning late in the third or early in the fourth TKO. That was another thing that I had seen that the Korean Zombie, his TKO losses were either in the fourth or the fifth round, and I see Max just coming in and being just going at him the whole fight, and Korean Zombie ain't gonna have nothing against him by then. So
I, I think I mean I agree with you. I think you kind of go over the past few fights. He hasn't had or Max hasn't had a official stoppage, I guess, in a minute. But you look at some of those fights, the Volkanovski fights. Obviously, that's a chess match. Now, granted, that last fight, Volk definitely beat Max up. Probably the worst performance I've seen Max have. But Volk is just that good. Uh, but you look at the Calvin Kattar fight. Like, yes, Kattar didn't get knocked out, but Max put on a show that fight. Like, he was in the zone. I mean, he was delivering punches while looking at the commentators, talking. Uh, that fight is a fight that if I had to show anybody, like, hey, you want to get into the UFC, let me show you this fight, just to show him. I mean, just to show his greatness, because that's one of the very few fights that give me chill bumps, like when that happened. Uh, so I think that he's still impressive, like these last few fights. I don't think he's slowed down a bit. Uh, Now, granted, like the Korean Zombie, you pointed out the Yair fight, and I do encourage anybody that is a UFC fan that has not seen the finish of that fight to go check it out because that is the craziest finish that I've ever seen in a UFC fight. I don't know if you all remember what happened in that, but so you kind of get down in the last 10, 15 seconds. Korean Zombie has probably won this fight. Let me just point that out. Like he is winning, and Yair is a heck of a fighter. I mean, he just fought for the title. He lost to Volk, but I mean, he's a top tier uh, featherweight. But these two guys, they make the decision. There's only like 10, 15 seconds left. They're like, okay, let's go at it. Zombie did not have to do this because, like I said, I think that he had the fight won. But they come, and as they meet, they start striking, and right at maybe the last like 1 or 2 seconds, Zombie comes in, throws an overhand right. Yair ducks under him, and as he ducks under him, he bends over and throws his elbow upwards. I mean, without even looking, throws it upwards and knocks him out with 1 second left in the fight and wins. I'm telling you, if you all get a chance in your free time, YouTube that is the craziest finish I've ever seen in the UFC.
check that out.
So to move on from this, it's something I did uh, about a week or two ago. Something we were going to do, and I know I ain't got a chance to talk to you more about what your locks would be on the betting lines this week because we are getting ready to roll into tomorrow. Um, I don't know if you have any off the top of your head, um, but I did put together. I try to put together a long shot parlay every week, so I put one together for tomorrow. I just wanted to run through it real quick. It's a multi-sport parlay. Uh, I have Blanchfield winning. She's minus 150. Uh, Giggy winning by TKO or KO or submission over Alex. I got Anthony Smith winning. He's actually plus 105. He wasn't plus 180 like I thought. But he's plus 105, so it's almost a toss up. I have Max Holloway winning. I have UTEP beating Jacksonville State as well as Ohio beating San Diego State, which Ohio is a plus 115. Vanderbilt beating Hawaii 17.5 spread. I have them winning that. And I have USC minus 30.5 over San Jose State. And I have La Tech 11.5 over Florida International. Uh, it's a long shot parlay for a reason. Uh, it's $2 for 750. So, if you want to throw something out there, it's a little bit crazy. I mean, that was actually a free bet that BetMGM was offering up. So, uh, next week we get into some real football. So, we'll actually have, I'm sure we'll all have some uh, parlays and games and stuff to watch out for, upset alerts and stuff like that. So, going forward, this is a fun weekend for us. We mentioned it last week on the pod that we were having our fantasy draft this weekend. That is tomorrow. We're going to start the morning off by golfing.
We have a tee time in less than 8 hours.
Yeah, tee time less than 8 hours. And it's going to be rough for those of us, me, that do not golf, that struggle hitting
And
the
me.
ball. So, I can't even do top golf though. So
I'll struggle too, and I've played all summer.
So we'll see how it goes. We'll keep you all updated. We might end up. I don't know if we'll have any videos from that or not. We'll wait and see.
We're going to have videos from golf.
But
I've
I'm
literally
sure that we'll
never
talk
golfed.
about it.
Ever. Like,
Yeah.
I went to Top Golf. Like, that's,
Yeah.
I don't consider that golf. Like, I've literally never golfed ever. So this is going to be one of those days where y'all just make fun of me and I just say, okay.
Well,
That'll
like
be
I
a lot
say,
different
be
from
better than me.
the other day.
Yeah. We might just end up teaming up. It's 2-on-2.
Hey,
And-
that would work. It might
How we
actually
doing
score.
that?
Yeah. I mean, one of us be with Logan, one of us be with you.
I know. I meant who's going to have. Do you have ideas on how y'all are doing that?
I have no idea. I mean, that was just on the spot thing.
Which one of you all is better?
I can't even hit the ball in Top Golf. That's not a question. Who's better?
I wouldn't. I mean, we can't really say because I've never
Yeah.
golfed. Like, we can go out there, like,
Oh.
I mean, I don't know. Like,
Either of y'all played putt-putt?
Yeah, I can play some putt-putt.
You're pretty
yeah.
confident in yourself with the putter in your hand?
I've hit a couple balls in some holes, man. I can't say that I've done anything. I'm not like the best, but I
If we
can.
team up realistically, that's all like I would need you all to. It's probably the only time we'll use your shot is if it's on the
Yeah.
putt. So I think they did putter. So whoever's the best, I'll take them right now.
Well, we might just have to draw names out of a hat.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to do an episode tomorrow from the draft, maybe something. We'll figure something out.
So I think we're going to try to do one tomorrow. I know the host of this event, Logan, he has talked about us doing one discussing our teams. He's even talked about maybe, the little pre-draft, like obstacle course we might do, him
I'm
doing
not
some
doing
video.
it, by the way.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'm too old for stuff like that.
well,
You know
I
what
think
happened with Kevin Hart, didn't you?
yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
I ain't
But
doing that.
I think it would almost be better to not win it because I kind of prefer being in the middle of
Kevin
the
Hart's
first
got
round.
money put back. He can afford to have
Yeah.
serious injuries. If I do something like that, I'll be off work.
Yeah. Well,
Too old,
I understand.
man. Too old.
I understand. Well, we talked about. I don't know if we're going to do it while we draft. I think that would be cool. Me and you had talked about maybe doing the first round,
Mhm.
but nevertheless, even afterwards, we could each talk about our teams. Just kind of pass the mic around since we're going to be there in person, and we'll see how it goes. I will say that last year, first year of this, Thomas was the champion. One of our close friends from lives up in New Hampshire now. And last season,
He's
Tyler.
not real big into sports. Apparently, come find out. Apparently, it's his better half that's the big sports fan.
Yeah, I know. We're
I
gonna have
didn't
to.
like a couple of her choices for teams, the Duke and the Steelers thing. We'll have to talk to her
Yeah,
about that. But
yeah. We're gonna have to ask Thomas about that one. But now I do think that see Tyler won the title this past season, so I think they're actually supposed to meet up in Danville. Uh, so I don't know if the ballot's gonna be passed then or not. Uh, but either way, uh, you got a new champ. You know, Tilo's coming in. He's going to defend that, and hopefully we can get it back down here in this part of the state. Um, you know, I feel like I'm when we do these fancy things every year. I over prepare. I research and research and research, and even during the season I pick up waiver wires every single week. And this year I'm kind of rolling into it, just going off of my gut, and I'm not trying to go too crazy on the pre-draft stuff. So I don't know what you all, if y'all been studying up on it too much or not.
I don't have time to research stuff. I just go by memory and what I.
Yeah,
If I no matter what I research, I always it's all kind of the same as how they got them projected and ranked anyway. So a lot of
mm,
times I'll just go with I'll either decide to take a pick on what I think could be different than what like say I've seen something and I think he's gonna have a much better year than what they're thinking. That's the only time I'll go out of order that or if I just like somebody better than somebody else. Most of the time I
yeah,
try to go in what listen to what they're projecting and stuff like that. I don't turn it into a big science and study and all that stuff.
yeah. Well, I mean, it works. I mean, most of the time, I think last year you made it to the playoffs, didn't you?
hmm Barely, I think. I've not had a good year in several years. I won it. I don't know if it was this same group, but it's been like 6 years since I've
I think
actually won one.
for the most part, it was most of the same group. I remember when you won because I think that year you drafted Aaron Rodgers in the first round.
I did, and I was told
Yeah,
too early for a quarterback. And guess who won that year?
yeah,
hmm
yeah. I mean, I get it. I used to go off the whole not drafting a quarterback in the first round, which I'm not going to draft one in the first round, but I'm more open to not picking running backs in the first round after last year.
Well, the numbers it's such a quarterback league, and it used to be there's such a limited number of running backs that had a chance of getting you that many points is why you had to take them off first. And there's a lot of quarterbacks in the league that can get you a lot of points. But there's starting to be 4 or 5 quarterbacks that are you don't. I mean, it's almost worth taking because you're looking
Yeah.
at big numbers every week, almost guaranteed.
Yeah. When you look at guys like Patrick Mahomes,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know what he's going to put up every week. Which I mean, I don't know that there's a lot of question marks with his receiving core this year. But still, I mean, I agree. You got quarterbacks that can do it. So, but I guess we'll try to close this thing up, man, because I think that we all need to. I can see it's where we're
I'm sleepy.
we're sharing the yawn among uh, the video here, the
Yeah.
webcam. So um, we got our tea time coming up, so we'll try to get off here and get some rest. I want to thank
I gotta
Rusty
go
for
put the
coming
old
on.
CPAP on, boys.
Yeah, thank you, Rusty, for coming on, and we're gonna do it again. Uh,
Absolutely.
Guys, I'm gonna try to get this episode out on YouTube here soon. We'll get some reels on TikTok and uh, keep up with our X. Uh, we were pretty up to date tonight with the high school football. We shared if we didn't have the information, we shared it pretty quick. Our Instagram and Facebook. So you know, if you're interested, try to share it. Help spread the word. We didn't get to go over the comments from our all-time burnt CD mixtape, but we might get that on the next one because we're pretty much tapped out for tonight. Uh, but Rusty,
Go Dogs.
Mm. You stay classy, San Diego.